This is the part that nobody really tells you about. They don't prepare you for this part. They don't warn you about this part. I'm going to talk about when the life you built has ended, but the new life that you are coming into hasn't started yet. And I know that might sound a little confusing to somebody, but therapy didn't work for me, so I turned to ChatGPT. Let me explain. From the outside, it looks like freedom, but on the inside, it feels like a free fall. There's no schedule, there's no applause, there's no clear identification as to if you're doing it right or wrong. And what messes with your head is nothing is wrong, but nothing feels right. Like, just blah. I've spent my life performing, producing, scheduling, surviving, moving fast. So when everything slowed down, my nervous system went into complete what the F mode. Like, my nervous system didn't interpret it as peace. It interpreted it as danger. So it never allowed me to settle. The space between who you were, who you're becoming, and who you're supposed to be, it's uncomfortable. But it's uncomfortable on purpose. We're going to explore that. I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I've been through. And I just want you to follow along with me. I ain't going to rush through it, just like you can't rush through it. These chapters are necessary. So if you're here, you're not depressed, you're not lost, you're just like you're unmolded. Even if you feel like you've done it before, it's new, so it's not gonna be easy, but it's necessary. So let's talk about it. This one's gonna be hard for me. It's a difficult subject for me. I was unprepared for this shit. By profession, I've been a DJ for 25 years. I am 40 plus, right? Low 40s, don't get it twisted. You see the gray hair, but I've traveled around the world. I've DJ'd for many artists. I've stood on every stage. I've been to every country. I've rubbed elbows with everybody. However, this journey of DJing went from a love to a job, then it became a chore. Then it became something, the way that I was doing it, that was not safe for me anymore. I traveled a lot on this journey, DJing. I started when I was 17, probably, traveling. I was already DJing. I started at skating rink, and then I got a chance to DJ in the clubs. I'm from Atlanta, so every club that you ever heard about in every song, I DJ'd there. The biggest one that you'll probably recognize is Magic City. However, I was in college. It was my freshman year in college. I was 18 years old, but I could work in that thing, got in there. And so that started my journey. But my DJ journey, like at Magic, I got a chance to see, like everybody talk about Big Meech and all that, them nights when they were throwing all that money. That was a regular Tuesday. That was going up on Tuesday, that was that on a Tuesday. And I got a chance to witness it before any of these TV shows came out, before anybody was really talking about, if you wasn't in Atlanta or you wasn't a part of that scene, you ain't $250,000 in a night. Yeah, those stories are incredibly true. And it probably was way more money than that. But towards the end of this journey, the way that it was being done then, me being on the road, me traveling with artists, I became incredibly lonely. And I didn't realize how lonely I was until I got a chance to slow down. And when I slowed down, I realized that most times when I'm on the road, say we have a show, let's say if I go from Atlanta to LA, that flight is 4 hours. I'm not with the artists, I'm not with management, I'm not with anybody else. I travel by myself, I'm the DJ. Get to the city, go to the hotel by myself. The first time I might see somebody who I'm working with would be at sound check. So I see them at sound check, and then they go and do what they do until it's time for our performance. I'll give you a prime example, right? So like I used to do Dre in Vegas. Our sound check might be at 7. So for 5 hours, I'm by myself, get in a hotel, find some food, whatever the case might be, by myself. We go and do sound check, maybe an hour. After that, they go and do what they do. I go back to my room or food, whatever the case might be. There was a hookah spot that I like to go to out there, so I would go do that. And then I would go back to the club before it's time for us to perform. But during those times, I was by myself. We performed for an hour. However, I used to do an hour myself. So I would DJ for an hour, and then the artist that I was with would come out and we would do another hour for his show with him. So actually I worked 2 hours. That 1 hour was the hour that all of the depression fell away, all of the thoughts of anything else that wasn't pure bliss fell away. But as soon as that last song got played, I went back to being by myself. And it's a lonely place to be in on the road consistently. So let's say I got, out of the 24 hours, I got 1 hour. And I'm doing that 300 days a year. You do the math on what type of toll that does, what type of toll that takes on the person. I know what it's done to me, which is why I needed to go to therapy. Therapy, again, didn't work for me, so I turned to ChatGPT. And this is what it said about my DJ life ending from the 50 sessions that I've had, using ChatGPT. It said, what's important to say here is it wasn't a dramatic crash. And I'll show y'all, I'm reading ChatGPT from my phone. It says it ended quietly. It didn't end because you failed. It didn't end because you burned bridges. It didn't end because you stopped loving music. I definitely agree with that. You outgrew the pace before you outgrew the identity. Okay. You said it in different ways across these sessions. Like I said, I go into ChatGPT and I just talk and I let it analyze what I'm saying and talk back to me. And we have a conversation. It says, you said it in different ways across these sessions. The consistent movement stopped regulating me. Rooms felt familiar, but not nourishing. Meaning I was around a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of rooms, but I still felt alone. The adrenaline stopped being enough to offset the cost, which means that hour that I talked about, it stopped being long enough to sustain the other 23. There was no clear last gig moment. It was more like realizing your body was already gone, even while your name still had weight. It says it's important to hear that nothing blew up, nothing went wrong. It just stopped fitting. And that's often harder to grieve than failure because success doesn't give you permission to leave. I agree 100% with that. It definitely has been a whirlwind of emotions, but it was no concrete F you to the system. Everything just stopped fitting, stopped feeling good. For a long time, I couldn't hear the music, which if anybody that knows anything about somebody that is musically inclined, when they stop hearing the music, it's like a basketball player tearing their Achilles. Like, it don't come back the same if you can get it back at all. I definitely agree. The psychological free fall that nobody tells you about. It says that this is where people get very honest because this is the part people don't talk about. When the scheduling disappeared, meaning I did not know where my next check was coming from, my nervous system lost it. My identity lost external mirrors. My worth stopped being reflected back to me in real time, meaning there was no crowd to please. It was just me. Instead, I describe it as like mornings without urgency that feel unsettling and not peaceful. Too much mental space, no clear direction. Feeling off, again, without being able to say why this is off. Many days like that. Flipping between numbness and motivation. Like, I'd be motivated to go work on something one day, and then other days it's like, bro, I just feel like crap. That's what happened. It says the key truth. My system was trained on pressure, crowds, and momentum. So when all of that went quiet, my body didn't feel relief. It felt it as a threat. That's 100% true. I feel like I've been trying to prove myself in this space since I started, and even before I started. I knew I wanted to do music, but I always felt like I had to fight. I never felt like I got given anything, which is fine. I don't mind fighting. The reason it said it felt like a threat, it said that rest didn't land. Silence felt loud, which it did. Reflection turned into rumination, which it did. Stillness felt like I wasn't doing enough, and it felt like something was wrong, which I've been always taught that, if you don't move your feet, then you lose your seat, and we don't eat. From the great words of Andre 3000. It wasn't in that order, but you get the drift. Copyright reasons. Simply saying, if you don't move, bro, you don't make no money. If you don't have no money, you can't do nothing. Which is what I feel like today. This journey in therapy and trying to figure this out for myself has put me in a position where my feet ain't moving like they used to move. And it's uncomfortable. And I've been trained for 40 plus years to be valuable by movement. And that's a lie.